Just thought I'd bring you guys along on how I'm putting together these security bars. Basically I've got myself a wooden jig set up, just keeps everything square. These are all marked, ready for cut at 900. The jig helps to measure them out. So they're all marked at 900, ready to cut. That's what we're looking at there. We're trying to dodge some rain at the moment, so time to pull out the Untitled chop saw and start cutting. This is the Untitled 355 metal cut-off saw. Little tip with these saws is, especially when the blade's new, is to use a 3mm packer on the end, because you find you get blade deflection and your cut will not come out at 90 degrees. So adding that 3mm spacer, that brings the end of your cut end up high enough so that you can offset that deflection of the cutting blade, and yeah, end up with a square cut. Mine's quite worn down at the moment, so I'm going to actually remove that and make some cuts. Just managed to get our bars cut before this decides to unleash itself on top. Basically it's a case of running in and out of the workshop trying to get the big cuts done. I like to do a lot of the bigger cuts outside rather than add any more dust to my workshop. But there's our bars. We've got 6 of them cut. They're cut at 900. Now we move on to our 12x12 solid bar. According to our little mud map here, they need to be cut at 940. We need 2 of. So I've got that marked there. That's marked at 940, so I'll cut that. Mark up another one. It's a piece of 2 meter length. Yeah, so I'll cut that, mark up another one, cut that. Then we've got our 2 horizontals, and then we'll start bringing in our jig and then laying it all out. Rightio, there's our 2 horizontal bars cut at 940. I've come in on the end here and I've measured in 50mm from the end. Scribed that across with using my square. That's on both ends. Basically what we want is the outside edge of the bar, the vertical bars, to sit just on the inside of those lines. And basically what that does is it allows for the offset for the head. That allows these ears, because the overall width will be set into like a brick surround around a window. That allows those ears to sit just in from the mounting point. So basically we need 790mm centre to centre between the bars, which is roughly set out there now in the jig. So now we place the horizontal bars on the top of that and we start to line everything up using a square. Okay, there's our bars set out. Bottom of the bar is set to 250mm from the bottom of our vertical bar to the bottom of our horizontal. I've also made marks on the vertical bar. There's our 50mm mark, so we're just sitting, as you can see, that's how I set it up, so it just sits just inside that mark. I've made marks top and bottom of the horizontal bar, on both the upper and lower parts. That will get ground, and that'll give us a good base to weld. And what we'll then do is we'll tack these in place. We'll clean them up, we'll tack them in place, and then we'll start setting our square. Okay, here's our bars prepped for welding. Ground a nice little surface there. Just got them clamped with the C-clamps. So that's 250mm from the bottom of the bar to the bottom of our horizontal. go, 250. And 250. So they're prepped, ready for tacking. So basically what we're going to do now, I've got my ground lead hooked up to a nice little ground area on the bar. I'm going to use the old UNIMIG, or the new UNIMIG Viper 182 in MMA mode, stick mode. So I've got my lead set up there. And to weld all this together, I'm just using 2.5mm 6013s, which is a pretty common welding rod here in Australia. 6013 is just what we class here as just a general purpose metal rod. So I'll get all that fired up and get it tacked in place, and then we'll square it up. There's our bottom horizontal bar tacked in place. Good enough to hold it where it needs to be. So now I've measured, set up and clamped the top to go in now. Once again, it's just a repeat of what we've done down here. That's once again using the UNIMIG. We're running at about, I mean that's its amperage setting there, so that'd be, you know, 110 maybe, 105. Yeah, probably closer to 105. And that seems to run the 6013 2.5mm rods quite well. Another thing that I do here in the workshop, because I've got limited space, is I run this fan. Basically it draws from the back there near the lathe, draws from there, blows air straight across the working area and out the door. Yeah, working in a confined space like this, you really need some ventilation. You don't want to be breathing that stuff in. So I'll get these top ones tacked, get those tacked into place, and then we'll put a square on it. That's the reason for only tacking everything at this point, is so that we can keep everything square. Another thing to take note when you're doing anything with an ornate top like this is you need to make sure that they stay relatively true and flat. That jig sort of helps to keep them laying flat, but sometimes when you weld, things will move a bit. So it's important to check and double check that before you weld everything out properly. There is some wriggle room with these. You can clean up that edge around there and sort of reposition them with a mallet, and put a bit of a tack on to reposition them. But at the end of the day, I mean, these once they're completed, they'll be going out to sandblasting and powder coating. So yeah, so we'll just get them tacked and I'll bring you back. Okay, there's our top tacked into place. A square. That looks pretty good to me. It's a little bit hard to see. That's pretty good. Rightio. So that's basically the frame laid out. Now what we'll do is we will lay our rest of our bars in. They're going to be separated 140mm between each bar. That's our gap. So basically we set the other 4 in there, divide them out, and prep them for welding. Right, now we've got our bars put in place, or prepped for welding at least. Just grind a nice little surface on them. Ready for welding up. So basically I'm going to place these underneath, just like those, and we'll space them out 140 and weld them out. Okay, that's all our bars tacked together. Just a little tack along the bottom of all the bars there. That gives us our overall shape. Next job is to install the mounting brackets. They'll go in behind the bar there. And they sort of sit up on the inner part of the bar, so when it's viewed from the front, it looks quite tidy. There's no visible edge there, which I think comes together quite well. They're about 130mm long, with a 10mm hole in the end of each. So I think next move would be to get those welded in. There's our bars all welded in. Still got a bit of slag on them there. There we go. Initial inspection doesn't look too bad at all. Find our brush. Yep, that'll definitely do the job. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So it's welded front and back, so there's plenty of strength there. Once they're all completed, I think they'll outlast religion, these things. So there's all the bottom bar there, all the tops welded out, once again welded underneath as well. We'll go through and tidy all them up, but yeah, it's all stick welded using the Viper MIG, the UNIMIG Viper 182 Mark II. It goes well.
Coal at the moment. Now we know that we're going to diversify out of that, but in the meantime, we have to keep bread on the table for families.
So a better look at those welds now that I've run them over with the wire wheel. The wire wheel really brings them out. So now we'll weld on our attachment points, 4 of, the ends of each of our horizontals, and that'll complete the pair. That's our pair of window security bars completed now, ready for sandblasting and powder coating. As you can see, they're a matched pair, identical. That's our mounts that we've put in flush behind. That's what they look like on the back side, are welded on the inside there, and on the outer part down there. But yeah, all in all, they've come together quite well. Just a lot of tedious things. The welding itself doesn't take all that long. It's just the prep and the cutting and fitting together and measuring and all the stuff that goes along with it. That's what most people don't tell you about. The actual welding part's in some ways the easy bit. But anyway, just thought I'd round off our video with the finished product. Well, my part's done, and hopefully down the track I'll be able to update you with some pictures of it actually installed on the gentleman's house. So until then.